Hey guys, today's story is about a 30-year-old man-child. Hi all! I've never thought I'd have a story bad enough to post it here, but here we are. I've been proven wrong. My apologies if this is a bit long, but there's a lot to unpack building up, and if I don't tell this story, I might just explode. I'll still try to shave away from the irrelevant parts, but we'll see how that turns out. There's so much more about this player, but it's not relevant to TTRPGs, so I'll try to keep those out. And bit of a warning, mentions of sexual assault. Our story starts when I cave in and decided to DM a homebrew campaign for my online gaming group. We were all between 16 and 21, but there was an outlier in this group, a man who was in his late 30s. That is, for some reason, hanging out with a bunch of teenagers and barely adults, which in hindsight was a problem in the first place, but since I was also a minor when I first joined the group, I didn't notice a problem. But only recently did I realize how screwed up this guy was hanging out with us actually was, as he was making sexual jokes towards the youngest of the group. And we decided to minimize our contact with him, save for the youngest. And to avoid confusion, I'll refer to the youngest as Rogue, and the almost middle-aged weirdo as Wizard. The rest of the group is somewhat relevant as they had all been harassed by this man one way or another, so I'll refer to the only woman, other than myself, as Bard, and the two very logical folks as Monk and Sorcerer. Now, since I wanted a safe space for everyone where we could be whoever we wanted to be, I decided against inviting the Wizard to my campaign, but you know very well that if that worked out, I wouldn't be telling this story, would I? I talked to every player that I wanted in my table individually, and Bard was the only one with a prior experience in D&D, so I invited her to help the others by showing them the ropes. Plus, she's a great roleplayer and genuinely fun to be around. And the Monk and Sorcerer had been wanting to try a TTRPG since the dawn of time, so they were quite enthusiastic in joining. The Monk even had a character ready before I even announced that I would be DMing. Now, the Rogue also wanted to join, so we talked on Discord about how to make a character and what kind of thing that he would like to play as. And while we discussed this, the Wizard joined the call, and the Rogue immediately invited him to play. The Wizard got excited, and upset that I didn't ask him first. I couldn't say anything and caved in, letting him make a self-insert wizard. We made a sheet, and then I told him to give me a backstory, and that it didn't need to be detailed. He could just give me a bullet point list, and I would be fine with it. I just needed one until a week before Session 0, which, at the time, was a whole month after this initial conversation. But here we have red flag number 1. He never provided me with a backstory. Ever. During the week of Session 0, I wrote to him every day, and he just said that he would give me one, as he had everything wrote in his head. So I just told him that I just wanted a draft. You can write a detailed one later. But no, he's a perfectionist, so he'll give me the perfect backstory. Until the day of Session 0, when he still didn't have one. Maybe I should have kicked him out then and there, but I was a bit spineless and thought this guy was so ingrained within the friend group that everyone would be upset with me. I told him okay, just have one before Session 1 so I can approve it. And then on the day of Session 1, I received a call from him. He told me that his character was an amnesiac, and he had a wife, and he had been carried to the tavern where the party is out cold. And that was it. That's all he had for a backstory. That's what took him a month, plus a week. The perfect backstory. When session time rolled around, everyone was excited to get going, so I got them all to turn on their cams, get their snacks ready, and we would get started. The party met at a tavern after arriving to the city, and the Wizard's character arrived as I was told, and told him to describe his character. He described a very handsome fellow who happened to, well, crap himself. Hilarious, isn't it? The party had a couple of awkward chuckles about this description, and a couple commented about his smell are made and he drags it on. So I insisted on moving on, and we did. Thankfully. Occasionally, whenever he spoke to an NPC, he mentioned his smell, but I and everyone else ignored it. And then we have red flag number 2. A few sessions later, we would all be hanging out post-session. They were talking about future plans. A particular non-binary NPC, which is relevant, I swear, and the wizard asked me if there was a general store. I said, yes, it's on the map, and he said that he would go there, buy the medical equivalent of a plastic bag, and screw her with the bag on. I told him that they wouldn't like that very much, and he just gave me a creepy smile. Everyone acted very awkward to this, and I left the call very soon after. But y'all might think that this was it, right? I kick him out here and we all move on with our merry way, right? No. My fear of the group falling apart is still there, so I just stuck him with a warning via PMs about how some of his jokes are uncomfortable and dragged on while I was playing a game with the monk and sorcerer on the Discord. He joined the call and immediately started berating me about how the issues about the table should be handled with the table, and it's unprofessional for me to stick to PMs. Which, okay, noted. I just didn't want to embarrass you. He didn't even apologize or say that he wouldn't do it again. He just up and left the call, leaving the 3 of us stunned. Afterwards, I talked to the players individually, and all but the rogue were wildly uncomfortable by this guy's behavior, even before we started playing the game. The rogue told me how he fully understands why I would be uncomfortable, but he himself was not. And I overheard from the monk that, later on, the wizard came on call while I was gone and ranted about how he played his character however he wants, and that he could crap or piss himself or hit on anyone else that he wanted, and the girl, myself, couldn't do crap about it. I just pretended that nobody told me anything about it. And in the campaign, they tried to get information out of a character that was adamant on not letting it out. But with the bard's good ideas and even better rolls, it was clearly working. But the wizard was barely listening to the game, and he had a plan. So he walked out, cast Disguise Self to turn into a sexy drow belly dancer, and, well, gave the NPC a lap dance and rolled charisma without me even telling him to roll for anything, to which he rolled a 14, which made the NPC turn him down, regardless. Logically, one would take the hint and stop, right? No. Not this guy. The wizard said that his character was disappointed, and decided to make him go back to the streets to look for a job as a prostitute. Which I shut down right quick. I told him no, and ended the session there. He insisted, called me a killjoy, and that he was just trying to have fun. After this, I decided to have an intervention with everyone at the table, like how he said we should, remember? I talked to everyone at the table and told him how much he was making everyone uncomfortable, and that he either stops with his jokes and uncomfortable comments about NPCs, or he leaves. His response was, "But everyone was laughing," and "You shouldn't be so offended by jokes." And after some arguing, he went quiet, and about half an hour later, he left. A good 4 hours later, at almost midnight, I received a PM while playing a game with friends. It was a very long message about how me being uncomfortable by his rape jokes wasn't his fault, and that I'm being the equivalent of an SJW Snowflake, and how beyond pissed he was for telling him no, and that he didn't do anything to warrant such feelings. And after calling me every name in the book and attempting to gaslight me into apologizing to him, he said that he had so much fun in the campaign, and would be sad for missing out if I wanted him to leave. even though that he barely paid attention unless there was a feminine presenting character on the screen, and that he had no hard feelings towards me. In response, I said that it wasn't only me, but most people at the table, and that I'm glad that he has no hard feelings, but I do, and I don't want him in my game anymore. I told everyone that the wizard would no longer be playing with us, and I got a collective thank God from everyone. So, as much as this guy likes to say everyone else is a snowflake for not getting his little stupid jokes there, I think he rolled a nat 1 on his self-awareness check. This guy was definitely a snowflake, and a creepy old one at that. What I don't understand, though, was if everyone except one person disliked this guy, why was he part of the friend group? Were they all equally terrified of this group having a massive internal issue and disbanding because they all thought if this one guy left, then they would no longer want to be with each other or something? I don't quite understand. But yeah, needless to say, 30-year-old man making sexual jokes and whatnot with a bunch of kids is not okay. The OP had given more information in the comments and whatnot on just how messed up this guy's jokes were, but the OP decided to remove them, so I can only imagine just how worse this guy got. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments, and as always, have a good one, and remove the creepers from your groups, please.